Hi everyone, we're going to solve each of these quadratic inequalities the algebraic method. Alright, so for the first one, what you want to do is you want to write the inequality with 0 on one side and the quadratic expression on the other. It's already written that way, so all we have to do is factor this. It's a perfect square trinomial, so this is just 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. And we want this to be equal to 0 or less than 0, so negative. If we just solve for x, we get x equals negative 1/3. So what we're going to do is do a little sign diagram with negative 1/3. So what's going on? Remember, this is your x-intercept. So what's going on either side of the x-intercept? So we want to know what's going on the left-hand side of it and what's going on the right-hand side of it. And all we can do is we want to see if it's positive or negative. So let's plug in negative 1. So negative 1 falls in this interval. If I plug in negative 1, I get negative here times a negative. This is going to be positive. Now let's plug in 1. If I plug in 1, I get positive times a positive. And that gives me also a positive. Both of those are not negative. This x less than 0 means negative, so they don't work. However, our x equals negative 1/3 does work because it can equal 0. So what you're going to do is just write x such that x equals negative 1/3. That's the only solution we have. You can write it this way, or you can just write that. And that is your solution. The next one, a little harder because we have to use the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and rewrite it with 0 on one side. So we get 2x squared, subtract the 8x plus 3 is less than or equal to 0. Now we're going to use the quadratic formula. Let me just write it out real quick, just in case you forgot. Minus 4ac divided by 2a. And I always like to write down my a, b's, and c's. My a is 2, my b is negative 8, and my c is 3. So using our quadratic formula, we get x equals negative b. So the opposite negative 8 is positive 8. 8 plus or minus square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times 2 times 3 divided by 2 times 2. All right, from here, I'm just going to look at this piece. This is going to be square root of 64 minus 24, which is a square root of 40, which is, I can write as square root of 4 times 10, which is 2 square root of 10. All right, so we have x equals plus or minus, let's put the 8 first, 8. I'm going to go ahead and write this as 2 divided by 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 2 divided by 2 times 2. I want the same denominator. You don't have to, but that's why I wrote it this way. These 2's will cancel. Since I still have 2 in this denominator, I'm just going to divide 8 by 2 and get 4. So your final solution would be x equals 4 plus square root of 10 divided by 2, or 4 minus square root of 10 divided by 2. So these are the two we have to test on our sign diagram. So let's do that. Whoops, sorry. Duplicate page. So we're going to draw a sign diagram with 4 minus square root of 10 divided by 2 and 4 plus square root of 10 divided by 2. Recalling that we can't factor this, so it's going to be a little harder. We had 2x squared minus 8x plus 3 is less than or equal to 0. Now, what I did to make this easier, so I used the calculator, and this number here is simplified in decimal form as, let me just rewrite that. This simplifies to 0.42. We're just going to estimate anyway. And this one is about 3.58. So we're going to choose numbers. If I plug in 0 for this side, so we're trying to see what's going on for x is less than 4 minus square root of 10 divided by 2. And this one's going to be x is greater than 4 plus square root of 10 divided by 2. Now, when I plug in these numbers, or I plug in 0, say, I'm going to get positive here. Also, if I plug in a number bigger than this into this equation, you're going to also get positive. However, if I plug a number in between these two numbers, say 1, so in between, if x is in between 4 minus square root of 10 divided by 2 and 4 plus square root of 10 divided by 2, so I can say I can plug in 1. If I plug in 1 into this equation, I'm going to get a negative. And that's what I want. I want a negative, because x less than 0 means negative. So the way you want to write your solution is x such that x is in between. This is the interval we're looking at. 4 minus square root of 10 divided by 2 and 4 plus square root of 10 divided by 2. It also says it can equal it. So we're going to go ahead and put the equal signs here. All right. And this is your final solution. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.